Hello, everyone. We have Kim with us tonight. And in two sentences, what was your business idea and how does it help the world?
My business idea is working one on one and coaching people that are in the spotlight that are highly pressured, and how to help them not burn out and not hate their life in the pursuit of what they're doing.
What do you mean by spotlight? Who are these people that you're working with?
Really good question. So, my clients tend to be entrepreneurs, business owners, content creators, digital creators, that type of thing. And also like CEOs, celebrities, TV stars. Maybe they've done reality TV. And so they can be in the spotlight in a big way. And if they're not ready for it, it can be fantastic until it's not. So, but certainly for my business owners and my entrepreneurs, like taking that journey of, from startup to scaling, and being in the spotlight of their teams, their suppliers, their customers,
Mhm.
online and offline, bricks and mortar businesses, it can be diabolical. And you don't actually know what it's like until you're in it. And then it's like, oh gosh, it's one of the questions is like that people would always go is, well, it can't be that hard. And it's like, no, unless you've lived it, you've got no idea.
Mm. So, what was the moment when you went from this idea in your head, to that breakthrough? Okay, let's make this real. Let's make it a business. Was that a moment, person? What was the trigger?
So I've been coaching since 2006, and initially I did all of my 2 years of training for myself to better myself as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and manage my team. And then what I found was I needed to manage my team and help my team and assist them as well. So in my old business that I've now sold, I had 150 staff, and it was a big national multi-million dollar business. And I'd scaled that from just myself to that size. So it was an insane journey, and I'd never been in business. I was 21 when I started that, and it was just like, how hard can it be? Really, really, really hard. So along that way, the coaching just sort of evolved, if that makes sense. And then when COVID hit, we've all got one of those stories. My big sort of bricks and mortar business with all of my team shut down in Australia for 3 months. We could not operate. So we went from huge amounts of cash flow to none. And I went, well, what am I going to do? My husband was my CEO at the time, so both of our incomes were gone. And I went, all right, let's quickly spin up a website and I'll do my coaching, and I'll do that online because I can. And there were multiple people that needed assistance, and especially in Melbourne where lockdowns were so harsh, I was doing crisis work with people that were suicidal and all sorts of things. So it was very heavy going, but it was such a beautiful thing for me to be able to actually help them and support them through what they were going through. All the while, like I was as well, but I knew that I had the skills to be able to hold space for them and work through their issues for them, because I just intuitively, instinctively do that for myself now. I think, once you walk through the fire of entrepreneurship and of business ownership and leadership, it gives you a lot more space and capacity to be able to assist others with their journey.
Mm. So, you said that several times that you don't feel it unless you do it yourself. What was the most surprise thing that most surprised you in this entrepreneurial journey, in good or in bad way?
I think one of the things that was most surprising is that nearly all the way along the journey, you don't know what you're doing. And most people will not admit that,
Mhm.
and as a leader or as an owner, you can't really admit that to your staff or your team or anyone. You have to look like you have it all going on, you know what you're doing, you're super confident. And the reality was, I had no clue. I was just trying to figure it out the best I could, each step of the way. So there can be a whole imposter syndrome that can come with that.
Hmm.
But being able to be honest with myself about it and go, oh my God, I don't know, like just I had to literally soak things up like a sponge and learn as much as I could and implement, implement, implement. And at times that was so difficult because the advice you were given was completely wrong. And so accountants, one of the worst parts of business on that
Hmm.
journey for me, because they tell you what to do, you do it, and then a year later, it's like another accountancy firm goes, no, no, that's all wrong. You got to do it again, and there's no recourse. You paid all this money, and then they have to do it all over again. So that was very frustrating because I'm much more of a big picture person than a details financial person, and I needed that skill from someone that had it. So for any small business person starting or any entrepreneur person just starting out, back yourself, believe in yourself. And even when you think you don't know what you're doing, just keep going because you can get there. And if you need more help, keep looking for help. Like just keep searching and searching and searching. So, yeah. Does
Great.
that help?
Absolutely. What was the best business advice you received, or the worst one?
Well, very early on, I remember working with an extremely intelligent man who had just floated his company and he'd made a lot of money. And I was working one on one with him, and he said, oh, Kym, whatever you do, don't get staff. And I rolled my eyes thinking at the time, oh, no, like, again, how hard could it be? Well, he was so right. I was like, yep, okay. And I mean, I loved my team. They were amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like, we did incredible things, but it's really hard, and at times, if I've got any business owners out there that are listening, it can feel like an adult daycare center. So you've got to be able to manage that and do it in a very compassionate, caring, legal, responsible, practical way, when every part of you is just like, seriously, can you just please do your work? So that was one of the things that I probably should have listened to a little bit more. Because I think if I had have maybe taken that business in a slightly different direction, I would have been even more profitable. But I decided that it was better to go big. Like, I had this grand, massive vision and I wanted to grow and scale. And in doing that, there's a lot of costs involved. So it looks like you're doing great, like multiple millions of dollars, but then the profit margin is so small.
Mhm.
So having to fight through all of those lessons and learnings was crazy. Yeah.
So you're suggesting you should hire people later on in business and smaller use a smaller team.
Look, if you have got the ability to keep your team as condensed as possible and make sure that your profit margins are in place first, and then really systematically working through like who's the next hire, who's the next hire. I really didn't understand any of that in my early years,
Mhm.
and I mean, my business blew up, and it had a life of all of its own. So I was sort of felt like I was running behind it, trying to catch up, figuring out all the stuff I didn't know. But
Mhm.
yeah, just do it very smartly, step by step by step, and don't rush it.
Mhm.
Even though you're going to have to wear a lot of different hats, that's part of it, to be able to create a system, to be able to write that system and the procedure down, and then hand that off to those people that you're going to implement into those particular roles.
Excellent. Do you use AI, and does AI replace people in your business?
It's a really good question. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship with AI because I am concerned about all the people that will be displaced from workplace through AI. And in the same breath, yes, of course, I use it. I use it every other day, but I mainly use it for research or for just, doing my marketing plan. Once I've sort of spoken to my marketing people, then I'll take what they've given me, I'll take my own thoughts and I put it in, and then I just massage it basically to go, all right, this is what I'm happy with. So I'm trying to do my best to still work with real people because I want that energy, I want that connection, and then use it for, its best case use to bring a better product to market.
Right. So let's talk about your business, what you are offering. If I want to work with you, what could I expect?
Sure, sure, sure. So what I basically do is I work with anyone that is in emotional turmoil, they're burnt out, they're depressed, they're anxious, there's any sort of dysregulation. So it could be physical pain is starting to come through, disease, all of those sorts of things that are coming from lifestyle and business sort of capacity. So some of my clients have come to, not some, a lot of my clients come to me by little whispers. So word of mouth, certainly the celebrities will hear about me and then they will reach out and go, I don't know if you can help me, but I've got this, this, and this going on. And so it's very confidential. Very much, one-on-one. I don't have hundreds of clients a year. I literally am very specific, and it's so when I take my client on, it's a very personal private journey, and so I work with them to clear whatever's going on. And I recently had one lady that was introduced to me by a coach, a marketing coach, and she was near suicidal. And so she'd been to psychologist, psychiatrist, you name it, for probably the last 10 years. And within 3 months, she has just made such leaps and bounds that it's so beautiful to see. So it's all of my work is via Zoom, and we usually do weekly or fortnightly sessions depending on where people land in what's happening for them and their level of crisis or not. And then the Zoom sessions, it's not just a talk session. I work in all sorts of ways. So with my neuro-linguistic programming background and all of that, plus also journey work, and I've worked in India, and I've done all these other modalities in holistic therapy that it's very somatic in the way that I work. So we do relaxation work together. It's hard to describe unless they actually feel it, but if you get on a call, you can be nearly beside yourself at the start of the call, and this is definitely what happens sometimes. Like, people would be in tears with me, or they're speaking 20 miles a minute and they're so anxious and they can't sleep at night. There's all sorts of things going on. There could be addictions, you name it. And then by the end of an hour and a half call, they are just calm and relaxed, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know how you did that. But that's not what I've never felt that before when I've been to a session with someone. So it annoys me that I can't explain it very well, but it's certainly, it's more of an experiential thing than it is a talking thing. Yeah.
So, by your experience, because I think that a lot of time, most of the time, people who would need this help the most would never reach out. How to, I don't know, make it happen? How do we encourage them to do that?
Well, you know what? I think the biggest thing is making them understand that they're not broken, like nothing's wrong. It might be wrong in the way it's showing up for them, but you know, rather than them made to feel guilty or shame or whatever it is. It's like, this is my bread and butter. You know, I work with this every other day and have done for since 2006, nearly, you know, 20 years. So it's normal as a human to go through things we don't know how to cope with. And most things will come back to emotional state and dysregulation, and then the way that that affects the physical body. So, you know, I get people to do an assessment on my website, and they can do that for free. And it will give them an outline of 5 different levels that they may show up as, to tell them, you know, it gives them a bit of a guide of, you know, this is where you are, this is what's going on, this is where you would like to be. And they can just see that, oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense. So it's quite an in-depth, you know, it's free, but it's quite an in-depth assessment. So it takes probably, I don't know, 15 minutes to do. It's not like a 2-minute one. And I purposely, I took 6 months to build that, because I wanted to try to hopefully instill in them that it's okay. Like it's actually okay and safe to reach out. So like the different, do you want to know what the different levels are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I put it in the context of obviously my CEOs and my leaders and anyone up on stage or TV and that. But I've got mums and dads that, you know, work with me as well if they want to. But I basically called it backstage burnout is the bottom one, when they come in and they're dysregulated and they're not resourced in the way that they should be showing up. That it's like an upside down triangle. So backstage burnout is on the pointy bit of the bottom, and they can literally fall over, tip over at any time. Like it's just, they're so over it, they're done. And the next one up is red carpet whirlwind. So things are getting a little bit better, but they can still go around in circles. It feels a bit like, oh, I'm okay, and then I'm not, and I'm okay, and then I'm not. And that's exhausting in itself. The next one up, once they've sort of come in and done a little bit more work, or they come in at that level themselves, is, I call it smooth sailing spotlight. It's where 90% of the time things are great, and then there's this one area that they just can't nail. Like most of the other areas of their life, they're super happy with, and it's like, yep, I'm good. But this one thing, this thing just keeps falling over time after time after time. And it's super frustrating, really frustrating. So after that, then the next one is called leading role. And that's where really you're the leading role in your own life. You're basically creating life the way that you want. It's, you know, you're showing up, you're delivering. It's pretty high up there of having 95% of everything working. And no matter what the world is throwing at you at that point, you have the internal knowledge, you have the authority, the internal authority to be able to cope with it. And I don't know about you, but when I look at a lot of social media these days, people's emotional intelligence and their regulation it's just not there. You know, they'll throw tantrums and they're angry and they're this and they're that, and they're triggered by this and triggered by that. It's just so heartbreaking. It shouldn't be like that at all. So the top one is where literally, like, life is everything you've wanted it to be, and you're at the pinnacle of your game. You know, family's happy, relationships great, business is great. Everything that you've set up in your planning, in your goal setting, is being achieved, and it's like going for the next level. So when I'm working with those people, it's not because necessarily something's wrong, although they might have made gazillions of dollars, but then they feel empty, that something's not there. Like, well, I've made it and I'm a celebrity, or I'm on the top of my field for my business or my profession, And yet, why do I feel like something's missing and I'm empty? And this is, I've worked so hard. How the hell is this all there is? And there's a deeper questioning at that point. And that's where drugs and alcohol can become a crutch to fill that internal hole if it's not dealt with and worked with correctly. And that level is called the iconic zone. So, and unfortunately, we see that all the time with celebrities and, musicians suiciding because they haven't been able to master that and manage that. And they've got a whole team of people around them that are expecting things of them, and they just have to keep showing up. It's like they've created a machine, like what my old business was. It was a machine that even though I loved it at a certain point, I absolutely hated it and was resentful of it because I'd built something that even though I could step out of it and it would still run, I still had responsibilities. I still had to be professional. I still had to show up for the business itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so they're the different levels of put into my life of ultimate well-being, and what your life of ultimate well-being would look like is very different to mine. So when I work with my clients, it's not cookie cutter. We'll delve into any sort of abuse or trauma or stuff from childhood all the way through, because usually that stuff comes up when we're at boiling point with other areas in our life and it starts triggering it. So yeah.
So, as I asked you before, that people who need it most, how to reach out, how to make this first start, I think you prepared the best thing, that assessment, because they can do it not publicly, not even communicate it with something, but in their home, at their homes, in their privacy, and without telling anybody, I'm doing this, I'm trying to help myself. uh,
Correct.
just do that and see what happens. And then
Correct.
I suggest to contact Kim, because uh, you know uh, you know how to walk through fire. If you walk through fire yourself, like you, and you
Yeah.
said you are now living uh, the life you wanted. Tell us about that.
So when I was 18, my goal was sometime in my life, I wanted to live and travel the world and do that for work and pleasure. And so I had no idea how I was going to do that. And yet now, to my absolute delight, I get to live that life every day. And for a long time, Robert, I didn't even have a boyfriend as I was building that company and that business that I sold. For 10 years, I was single and I was really like wanting a partner. And so I've instigated this process of, you know, planning, of manifesting, of goal setting, and going intentionally, what do I want my life to look like? And I was very specific about, I want a healthy husband who doesn't smoke, who wants to travel, who doesn't have kids. We go skiing once a year, we go beach holidays once a year. And then it was all part of my big plan. And so now we are living that plan. We've been married for, I don't know, 10 years. No, hold on, 12 years, and super happy. And every day we say to ourselves, we're doing it. Like, we're so grateful we're actually doing it. So once COVID hit, and it was a very tumultuous time for so many people, me included. I lost my dad during COVID suddenly. Our beautiful 14-year-old Labrador died. I watched my business crash and burn and be closed for many months of the year, and then having to sort of ramp that up and build it back up, and then put it on the market to sell. Watching all of those years of my life just like go to nothing was hard. And I said to my husband, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just start living what we said we were going to do. And so we still live in Australia. We still have our homes in Australia. We, still do everything there, but we are spending way more time traveling the world. So at the moment we're in Thailand, but we were just on a cruise and we went from Seattle to Alaska and then to Japan and had the most phenomenal time. Last year we were in Canada and Japan. I think the year before we did Vietnam and Malaysia. And so we're just starting to tick those things off our bucket list of, okay, these are the countries we want to travel to. This is what we want to see. And we're spending way more time getting our fitness back and our health on track. Because if you looked at photos of me a couple of years ago compared to now, like, so much difference. So
Mhm.
I always work on myself first, and then I'll use myself as the guinea pig for my clients, and I'll go, okay, I'm doing this, this, and this. I want you to research it, look into this, look into this, look into this. And it's always around holistic health, stem cells, peptides, exosomes, like all sorts of different things that I bring to the table when I work with them. So we'll work on mindset, we'll work on emotional regulation, we'll work on physical health, we work on financial. Like, I bring the whole holistic model to their coaching sessions. So I'm so thrilled. Like, every single day I'm so blessed to do what I do. And when I get off my coaching calls via Zoom with my clients, I'm literally like shining like the sun, because even though we're dealing with very deep and troublesome, issues that I do not take for granted, it does not affect me. Like, even some of my clients are psychiatrists and psychologists, because they're so affected by their work, that they take on that the stress and the energy of it, and then they get physical disease and symptoms and all sorts of things. So it's really nice to be able to assist them and help them through that as well.
Great. So, uh, you said you live the life of your dreams. What would be one piece of advice you'd give your younger self? Would you do something different uh, with your business life?
I probably, if I had have been brave enough, I probably would have. Oh, it's really hard, because one of the things I always said to myself was, if I ever got to the point where I didn't love my business, I would walk away. And the way I worded that is really bad, because to walk away, it was like that sunk cost, where you put in 10 years or whatever it is of a business. And if I had just cut it off and walked away, I would have got absolutely nothing
Mhm.
financially. And so I hung in, changed it up, kept trying, kept changing. And then I finally did get, my successful sale, and I walked away with a good result from that. However, I don't know. Like, it's really hard. Like, should I have gone earlier and lived this life sooner that we're living now? I'm not quite sure. Like, part of me goes, yeah, maybe, but then, you lose out on it, and it's really tough. It's really tough. I think probably not, because I am now who I am because of all of those fires that I've walked through. And, there were times when I was depressed, when I was burnt out, where I didn't want to get out of bed for 3 days because of whatever was going on.
Mhm.
And so I think that adds to the depth and the quality of the work that I do now.
Mhm.
So maybe in that sense, no, absolutely. I would just like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Yeah.
Right. So, uh, for for the closing of this great talk, what would you suggest for the younger people who want to live life like you, or become an entrepreneurs or not? What would you suggest? How to approach this? You tackled a bit at the beginning, but to expand that.
I think the biggest thing to focus on is, what do you really want? And when I ask a lot of people, what do you want? They don't know. they'll tell me everything they don't want. Well, I don't want this and I don't want that and I don't want to be broken, blah 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 blah. But it's like, no, no, no. What do you actually want? So, just start by making a list of 20 things that you want in your life, and maybe you want within the next 1 year or 5 years. I wrote a 5 year and a 10 year goal. So I had my 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and I had no idea how I was going to achieve any of them. But as soon as they're written down, and I just checked in on them every quarter and went, what am I on track? Am I not on track? Is that still important to me? Is it not important to me? And so, even just by doing that one simple thing, it doesn't cost anything at all. You can start to navigate and change the course of your life. And you know how many people don't do that? There's a lot.
Yeah, I
They
know.
just got to plod along.
I think most of the people live on autopilot, and just life happens to them. Not They don't really control it. It just happens like it happens, and they just
Yeah.
live like others dictate, basically.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, you're so right. I mean, yes, life events happen. We'll have deaths of our loved ones, we'll have calamity, we'll have all sorts of things, but how you respond to it is where you actually, the metal hits the road. When I had all of those things come down on me through COVID times, how I responded to that was completely different to how some other people did respond to it. And I'm really, I am proud of my results, and I'm proud of what I did, and that I was able to pivot so quickly and not just fall in a heap myself. It was like that wasn't even a part of the process. It was like, no, no, let's lift everyone else up, because I've got the skill and the ability to do that. So life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, and whatever we're going through allows us to become a better, greater person and be more resourceful with how we show up in the world. And that, to me, is part of our purpose for being on the planet. So yeah.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for a lovely talk. Anyone who wants to make the assessment, go to Kim's website and do it. It will help you. I tried it and it's great. And any final thoughts?
No, thank you so much for today. If someone is really in need, please just reach out to me, like on socials. Jump on Kym Power Wellbeing. Just DM me if you want, or pop me an email if you don't want to do it on socials. That's totally fine. I don't love being on there anyway. But yeah, just drop me an email and we can have a chat on Zoom for 15 minutes. And just, if I can help, I absolutely will. So thank you for today, Robert. It's been lovely talking with you.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.